Today, we're diving deep into one of the most celebrated and, frankly, one of the weirdest novels in Philippine literature, Nick Joaquin's masterpiece, The Woman with Two Navels. Now, this is a story that kicks off with an absolutely impossible medical claim, but it quickly spirals into this haunting exploration of a nation's fractured soul. Okay, just for a second, forget everything else and think about that question. What if you had two navels? I mean, really, what would that even mean? Would you be some kind of freak? A miracle? Or maybe, just maybe, it would be a sign of something much deeper, something broken inside you. Well, that's the bizarre question that lights the fuse for this entire story. So we meet our protagonist, Connie Escobar, and she's in a doctor's office in Hong Kong. She's young, she's wealthy, but she is clearly in deep, deep trouble. She looks her doctor in the eye and insists that she has two navels, and she needs one of them surgically removed. Now, her doctor, Pepe Monson, is completely baffled, as you can imagine, but he pretty quickly realizes her problem isn't medical, it's psychological. Right. So, Connie's delusion, it doesn't just come out of nowhere. It's a desperate cry for help, and it's rooted in a family secret so devastating it's tearing her apart. To really get her, we've got to peel back the layers of the toxic world that she grew up in. At the center of all this is this tangled, ugly web of deceit. You have Connie, who's trapped between her mother, Concha, who's this picture of high society corruption, and her husband, Macho. And then the bombshell drops. Connie finds these love letters that reveal this absolutely unthinkable truth. Her own husband used to be her mother's lover. The two most important people in her world are connected by this massive betrayal. So, you see, her claiming to have two navels, it's not literal. It's a physical manifestation of this deep emotional and moral wound. She feels fundamentally split, you know? She can't reconcile the family she thought she had with this ugly, monstrous reality she's just uncovered. So her mind literally creates a second navel to represent this horrible new truth that's now attached to her. And this is where the story pivots. It goes from a personal family mystery to something way, way bigger. Connie's two navels aren't just her problem anymore. They become the central symbol for the entire novel. They're the key to unlocking its really profound and challenging meaning. So let's be super clear. We're not talking about a physical deformity. What we're dealing with is a seriously powerful metaphor. The two navels represent this state of profound internal conflict, a soul literally torn between two completely opposite realities. Think of these two navels as the opposing forces at war inside Connie. The first one, that's her connection to truth, to her real history, to the natural way of things. But the second one, that's like an umbilical cord to an illusion. It's a false self that was born from all the lies and corruption of her parents. It's a battle between facing a painful reality and just escaping into a protective fantasy. But here's the absolute genius of Nick Joaquin. He doesn't just stop with one woman's psychological breakdown. Oh, no. He uses Connie's personal crisis as this powerful allegory for the identity crisis of an entire nation, the Philippines. And this isn't just some wild theory. As the literary critic Josefina Constantino puts it, Connie's struggle is a mirror. It perfectly reflects the collective struggle of the Filipino people to forge their own solid identity after centuries of being torn between all these outside colonial influences and their own native roots. And here it is. This is the novel's central parallel, the big aha moment. Just like Connie is haunted by the sins of her parents, the Philippines is haunted by its colonial past. Just like she refuses to face the truth, the nation struggles to reconcile its past with its present. Her two navels become the perfect symbol for a national identity that feels split, confused, and just fundamentally colonized. I mean, this division didn't just happen overnight. You had centuries of Spanish rule that left this deep legacy of Catholicism and a certain social structure. And then bam, in come the Americans, bringing a whole new language, a new education system, and a totally different set of cultural values. The post-war Philippines was just left there trying to figure out which of these pieces, if any, was its true self. And this created a real double-edged sword. On one hand, American education and the English language gave Filipinos amazing new tools for the modern world. But at the same time, it created this distance from their own traditions, sometimes even a sense of shame about their own native culture. They were empowered, sure, but they were also alienated. So for decades, the main way people read this novel was as a story about a nation's identity crisis. But what if there's another layer? What if Connie's so-called madness isn't just a symptom of confusion, but a form of rebellion? A more recent critical take from the scholar Gabriel Gonzalez suggests exactly that. He argues that Connie's claim isn't just passive confusion. No, it's an active protest. It's a desperate cry for something real, something authentic, in a world that's built on nothing but lies. So if you look at it this way, her delusion becomes a weapon. By insisting she's a freak, Connie is radically rejecting the corrupt world her parents represent. Her so-called hysteria is actually this powerful scream, a declaration that the world she's been handed is fundamentally wrong, and she refuses to play its game anymore. So why does this strange story, more than 60 years after it was written, still resonate so powerfully today? Why does it still hit so hard? Well, I think the enduring message is that healing, whether you're talking about a person or an entire nation, it just can't come from denial. Escaping into an illusion, creating a second navel, that only makes the wound deeper. Wholeness only comes from the courageous and, yeah, painful act of confronting the past in all its messiness, acknowledging the betrayals, the corruption, and the colonial scars. Ultimately, Nick Joaquin leaves us with this enormous, powerful question. And it's not just about the Philippines, is it? It's about any of us who feel torn between who we are and where we come from, between the truths we know and the illusions we cling to. How do we stitch those two halves back together to become whole? That is the challenge at the very heart of this incredible novel.